transportation for a very long time and seen a lot of roundabouts, and know that there are a lot of towns taking out traffic lights and replacing them with roundabouts. You can't take my word for it, because I'm not a consultant. You know, a consultant is someone with a PowerPoint presentation 100 miles from home.
Exactly.
So I think really to bring it forward and decide whether it's feasible or not, we need to get some certified experts in to tell us how much it's going to cost, what the benefits will be, what the disadvantages will be, and then make a decision as whether we want to proceed or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comments, bring it back to council. Council members.
Question two, is this an issue that we need a motion on?
This is an issue we need a motion on. This is yeah.
Okay, so my comment is, I live pretty close to this intersection. I know it very well. There is an enormous amount of traffic that backs up during rush hour. I assume my understanding of warranting whether or not a traffic signal satisfies the warrants has to do with criteria such as accidents and pedestrian safety, that kind of thing. I'm not familiar with whether there's much accident here. It sounds like the traffic signal isn't warranted. In this case, I do think that the idea of investigating a roundabout is a good thing. I know it's been talked about. I support us doing an RFP to look at the feasibility, because there's a land use issue and how much land is available and what the impacts and costs are.
Councilwoman Lewis?
I'm fine.
You're good. Councilman Whitmer?
Well, I think that it's a worthwhile thing to get the analysis done, and then we can play into really what our city engineers say are necessary. I guess it's not fixed. So I think it's a prudent thing to do to, I guess, solve the issue and actually quiet down the transportation committee, which this has been brought forward 3 times, I think, already, as much as 4 or 5 years ago.
Thank you, Councilman Whitmer. I'm probably going to be the descendant here, and I have some reservations on it. One, I have timing reservations, knowing that we are coming out of master plans that are going to be giving us some advice. We got the bike park master plan, we got the Selby Lane traffic issue that we're studying at the same time. My concern is that, one of my concerns, the $2,500 is a concern in the fact that we're spending money if in fact, what are we trying to solve? And I think that often we have to look at what are we trying to solve? And is it that we're just spending the $2,500 to step into to increase traffic flow on Alameda, and then what in fact are we going to create when we increase traffic flow on Alameda? I actually am in the western section of Atherton, and that is one of the most important intersections for the people that live in the western section of Atherton, because that is one of the very few intersections that people can actually cross the street, i.e. we've been talking about the Selby Lane issue, ECR, Fletcher, and so on and so forth to get across. They don't go out Fletcher, they go out Atherton Avenue and ECR because it's a controlled intersection. And by talking to neighbors out there, they say the problem is really during commute. Okay? The residents that are going that direction understand that during commute hours, they hit that intersection. They know if you're going east to west, which is, or correction, north to south, is you're through traffic, usually running through Atherton. By creating a faster method to go through Atherton, are we going to create more problems in the western section of Atherton from ECR to the hills? And I think the answer is, if we make it faster for purposes of people that are during the commute, we are going to be dramatically affecting the people that are sitting in the western section of Atherton, period, i.e. from ECR to the hills. That deeply concerns me. It's not the $2,500, it's the cause and effect. And with what we all do know is that the schools have expressed that we got a considerable amount of growth. We got 2 schools, we got an elementary school and a high school. We have recently in the traffic committee just addressed concerns because traffic going through the intersection of Stockbridge and Alameda, which is your next intersection. I can see by creating a roundabout in this section that the residents are gonna say, well, fine, we want a stop sign at Fletcher and Alameda. So what did we just do? We created a faster flow in one intersection to create a stop, not more than a few intersections away. And I believe that as we found out with our recent conversations related to the Selby Lane issue, that is a emergency route. And I really think that the fire department's not gonna be very happy to try to get a full loaded engine through that intersection at any code or any speed. So, you know, again, myself personally, I'm not in favor because I think it creates more havoc or more problems for residents in that particular area. And in fact, you know, with other studies coming out that could potentially influence how we deal with funding for a roundabout. And I know that apparently there's been an interest in the past. So, you know, I leave it up to my fellow council members, but that's kind of my input.
Can I just
Sure,
comment
absolutely.
on your comments?
Please,
Just-
absolutely.
So just by doing the study, it doesn't mean that we're approving it, or that if it comes out that it's feasible, that we actually approve it, because it's just like the stoplight at Selby Lane. I mean, Caltrans did the warrant study, and that's sitting there, and we have not approved that yet because of all of the concerns that you just identified. And I just feel that if we just, you know, get some more information about it, the study may show that it's not feasible at all because of the size and the land and everything else. So I really think that it would be taking aside our personal feelings about it. I think overall, I think it would be a good decision for council to make, to move forward with just the study.
I agree with your comments, Mayor. I think that, you know, having lived overseas for an extensive period of time, roundabouts help the major flow traffic, but they do nothing for the people trying to merge on. So the people that are trying to get on from Atherton are not going to get on because the through traffic has the right of way. And the people coming from further west will not be able to get on, even to go turn left, because they'll have to wait for an opening in the through traffic and then get on, and then they have the right of way to go around. And honestly, my personal belief is a lot of Americans don't know how to manage a roundabout anyway. I guess I've been swayed a little bit by your comment.
Vice Mayor DeBoer.
Yeah, we don't have that many roundabouts around here, so people aren't really used to them. But I think what you're talking about is one of the impacts, an important impact. I mean, I think that's an important, I'm concerned about whether a roundabout would deter the ability of people to cross the street and how that gets dealt with. That's a real issue. But I actually think that exactly that impact is what should come out in this. I mean, this RFP is to analyze the feasibility and the impacts as well as the cost. So I think that would come out. So I think we should go forward with this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean we're agreeing to do it, but then we just have more information.
I'd like to see the impact so we have, you know, have it in front of us, and it's been talked about for a long time. But we're speculating. I'd like to get it out there and look at it, then we can make a judgment.
You know, it's for me, again, I don't like to spend money that I don't have to when I have a crystal ball and I can forecast the results and see what the I mean, I'm out there and I know, you know, and it's $2,500. It doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but it is a lot to somebody and it is a lot to this town. $2,500 is $2,500. And, you know, I think that we're gonna be sitting here with, maybe the whole answer here is to table it until we get the 5th council member, and get his feedback and just, push this off for a month. And I don't see the rush to do it right now anyways. And so, I am pretty locked in and I just think that, it's $2,500, and maybe Councilmember Dobby would have a, you know, maybe he'd sway me in a different direction, or, so I can call for a vote. If so, a motion, I apologize. So, can I call for a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I will move that we direct the city manager to prepare a request for proposal to analyze the feasibility, impacts, and costs for installation of a roundabout at Alameda de los Polgas and Atherton Avenue at a cost not to exceed $2,500.
Second. Any further discussion? Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays?
No.
Nay. Okay.
Due to no action, would you like to continue this?
Yes, can we please continue this item until next month, and please re-agendize it so that Councilmember Dobby, when he feels better, can weigh in on it.
Well, if we voted on something 2-2, the motion fails, so
It's no action. It fails because there's no action, but it's just as if there was no motion.
we should have just had a motion to continue it for a continuance.
We didn't know until there was a vote.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and continue that item, and please bring that back before us so that we can weigh in with Councilmember Dobby. Okay, so that takes care of item number 21. We are now going to go over to the consent agenda items that were pulled. And let's start with consent agenda item number 10. Accepting the fiscal 2012-2013 basic financial statements. Councilmember Whitner.
Yeah, I pulled that for 2 reasons. First off, you know, one of our main objectives is to make sure that the proper mechanisms are in place, you know, that the city's running properly. And so part of it was an editorial comment that you know, we have an obligation actually to not have this on consent. We have an obligation to actually discuss the findings. I believe that's our responsibility here. With regards to my comments, I was looking primarily at 2 items on the